Hello, friends. Hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. I'm Lisa Hetrick. Excuse me. I sneezed right before I went online. Crazy live TV. Okay. Today, we're closing out the month here. All month long, we've been talking about, excuse me, all month long, I have been sharing some tips and tricks, and I've been showing Inktense pencils, blocks, pan. You all had asked me to kind of take a deep dive in and share a little bit about Inktense. So I've been dribbling it out in all of our tutorials over this month. And I also had a new release with Gina K called Life is the Song. So we've been doing a little bit of mashup of both. And today we're going to close out the month talking about Inktense again. And we're going to do, friends, we're going to do some artsy fartsy messy mixed media techniques today with our stamps and Inktense. And it's going to be just kind of flowy and we'll see what happens. But I am going to talk about the Inktense blocks. So super fun. Okay, I see people popping in, and I've already said hello to a couple people before we got started. Tammy and Gloria, hello Maria, and hi Irma. It's great to see you. It's great to see everyone. I'm just so excited that you could join me today. Okay, we're gonna dive right in. I kind of have a sense of where I think this tutorial might go, but hi Mary. I don't know. We'll see. But the focus of our tutorial, if this is your first time watching me, I don't spend a lot of time. We will make a card today, but I don't spend a lot of time on the anatomy of making the card. On this channel, we focus on techniques and watercolor or water medium based techniques using different supplies. And I take deeper dives into those techniques to help you understand A, the technique, B, the product that you might be using, and then C, how you can mash it up with your stamped images. So, hello, Tressa. People are popping in. So excited. Okay, let's go ahead to the down camera. And, let's pop my face in. Oops, let's pop my face in here. It takes a minute. Now, I got a lot of sitting on my desk. But today, we're going to talk about these Derwent Inktense blocks. Now, I'm going to start off, I'm just going to start off, I got a little bit of, it's right there. I'm going to start off with, we have focused this month on Inktense because it's a water-based medium, watercolor-like medium that has ink-like properties to it. It's not an ink, but it has ink-like properties to it. And it's really super vibrant. And I've focused on sharing the 3 different ways that this product has been created. So a pencil, we've done pencil techniques. There is a pan set, which I'm going to bring in and show you. Pencils, pans, and then they have these blocks, which are super fun. And if this is something that you have in your stash, this is a set of 72. Let's pull that out. That's a lot of color, right, friend? They come in sets of 12, I think 24, 36, and this 72. This is a lot of color, and they come in these little foamy things. And if you've never experienced Inktense before, the difference is this is a block. They make it in a pencil, and they also Derwent makes it in a pan set, which I think this is, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 24 colors. So this is all the colors that they have available in their pan set. I also have a long pan set too. This is a little bit newer. They came up with more of a rectangle version of it, which is kind of nice. So all 72 colors are all the colors that are in their palettes, are in their line, so to speak, isn't in their pan set. but all of their colors are in these blocks. And friends, these blocks are very, very similar to what's in the pan, and very, very slightly different as to what's in the pencil, because it's a little bit different, pencil to pan to block. And we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit today. So, oh, somebody wants to join the Craft Your Joy Lab. Lynn, if you're on this, if you're on with us right now and you want to join the Craft Your Joy Lab, fantastic. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but I'll get you in as soon as we're done our live video. Okay, we're going to walk through these and talk about them. And remember, I am just sharing information. I am not telling you to run out and get these. I'm just sharing information and just kind of showing you the different properties of this. Isn't this a really cool turtle? This was done by, you can find her, I'm going to mess up her name, but I know her channel. You can find her on YouTube at Lachri Fine Art, Lachri. She did this really fun turtle. And I think she might even have a tutorial on her channel to do that turtle. Okay, so let's do a quick dive. Let's just do some fun facts real quick about the Derwent Inktense. And I've kind of said that. I've kind of gone over a few of these. They come in blocks, pans, and pencils, and they have a color matching system. We've talked about that. This is kind of review. If you've watched the other Inktense videos that I've done, I've talked about this. They're permanent when dry, and they're light fast. So what that means is when they dry, we can't go back and reanimate the color and get it to move. I have proven that you can get it to move a little bit, some colors, but we can't reanimate the color, which is really useful for techniques like this, which is something of what we're going to do today, where I'm actually doing a base layer of Derwent color, and then I'm stamping and doing more painting over top. It means that that yellow underneath isn't going to move. We're going to talk about that and walk through that. Good morning, and more people popping in. Hello, everyone. Okay. They are really, really vibrant. But one of the primary things about Inktense that makes them a little bit different is that they're great on other mediums, other surfaces other than paper. I like them on paper. I'm a paper person. But they're great on wood, fabric, paper, ceramic. They become permanent. They're really, really effective color medium on those kind of surfaces. Also, silk. So I said fabric, but there are a lot of artists that use Inktense and they paint on silk scarves and silk, different kinds of silk fabrics, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so super, super vibrant, super vibrant. Now, I'm going to dive in a little bit and talk about this block versus the pan. So here is this pan set, and you can see that those colors are really, really vibrant. Super, super vibrant. We can make the colors for Inktense be really intense, like that whole milk consistency, all the way down to a lighter value by adding water. Good morning, all these people popping in. It's so exciting. But there is a little bit of a difference between the block and the pan and the pencil. So today I'm going to focus on the block and the pan. So block, pan. Same color in the block, same color in the pan set. A lot more of a smooth consistency and texture in the pan set. A lot more of an interesting granulating, and you can see those little pigments, little dots of pigment just kind of suspended there in the water. So we've got a lot more granulation and a lot more texture that can happen with the block. Can it happen with the pan? Absolutely. But with all of the blocks that I have used, you can see that there's a lot more texture. And to kind of show off that example, let me kind of like pull in a sample of what we're going to do today, or what I think we're going to do. You can see in this green, there's a lot of texture going on. in that color. So it makes it kind of fun. Makes it kind of fun. Okay. Feel myself nerding out about Inktense. Also, friends, if you have a question along the way, pop Q or question in the chat. The chat's over here, and I will be able to see it. I see everybody popping in. And TJ, she's waiting on a call. So you do that too? Like if you're on a phone call or you're waiting, you're like watching videos? That's me. That's me. That's me. Okay. One of the really, really fun things that I like about the, before we get into the card, let's just dive in. Let's move some stuff around here. What I like about the blocks is that you can use them directly. So lots of different ways to use them. You could cut them off, like clip yourself off a little piece and put it in a pan and like put it in your own little pan set. You could totally do that. You could use it like a block. It's not like a pastel. So see how it's not coming off on my hands like a pastel would? It is something that you can do a direct to paper. So if you want to cover like a lot of surface area, or I'm actually going to do a drawing with it with one of these in a moment. You can do direct to paper, and then you can activate parts of it with water if you want. Leave some of the texture. But that vibrance is really gorgeous. And you can break up that pigment so we don't see those lines. So see how well I broke up that pigment? Love that. Oh, Tressa said, would love to see an example of Inktense on silk. You know what? I've never done it on silk, but I've seen it. So like a quick Google search is just amazing. Thank you, TJ. Somebody's interrupting you. That's funny. Okay. So this is like one way to use it. And then another way that you can use your blocks is you can just go right to it. Very similar to the way you would a pan set or even your pencils, because I shared that, and see how much pigment I pulled up, and look at all that. It's so juicy. So juicy. Now, one of the things I want to share though, I want to come back. The Inktense can get see that texture. We can do some glazing, which means layering. So this is dry. And I can go back over top of it and start to add a little bit more over top. And it's not reanimating the color underneath. So if I take my clean brush and see how I'm just kind of scrubbing out this area and trying to get that to move, it moves a little bit, but I'm not really able to scrub up what's here and go back in and say I wanted to kind of make that line less visible. I really can't go in and blend it out and make it disappear. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean by it's not as easy to reanimate. So if I go in, and that's what I also mean by permanent when dry. What I think is beautiful about these is the layering of color. Now, what makes these different from your watercolor set? These are water-based medium. It's just another option. And the reason why I've focused on it this month is because you all had asked me. Many of you had it in your stash over the years and weren't sure like how to get them out and play with them. So that's what we were going to focus on this month. You can see some of that texture happening as the water touches. It's just so neat. There are like so many different techniques you can do with Inktense blocks. We're going to focus on just a few today. I really enjoy working with them. They're a little bit different of a mindset versus watercolors, traditional watercolors, or watercolor pencils. They're just a different way of thinking, knowing that you're kind of not able to reanimate a lot of things and make things move after they dry, and like lifting up colors is a little bit more difficult because these are pretty staining. They do stain the paper and they kind of if I come back in here with my wet, if I'm trying to go up here with a wet, I'm not really able to get, like, I can get it to move, but I'm not really able to get back too far to my white paper. So it's kind of a fun medium. And what I like using it for is what I call the messy stuff, like messy fun techniques, especially the blocks. So, and like here's one of those messy techniques. Let me go ahead and move some of this out. I want to bring in, before we get started on our card, and we do need to get started on our card, I kind of want to show you, I'm using some Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor today. It's typical paper that I use for paper crafting, and I already have our paper crafting pieces. We're gonna be mashing up our stamp images with our Inktense. But I wanted to do a little bit of a drawing with these so you can kind of see the blocks and how you can do a direct to paper effects with them. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just hold them like a pencil. And remember, this is just one way to do it. You could always use these and just apply your brush to it. I'm going to use them right now and just kind of draw out, just kind of do a little bit of messy drawing. So that's why I think these are kind of fun. If I want to just do, we're going to see how this comes out. If you want to do, if you're really big into art journaling and you like to art journal, these are really nice for art journals, I think. They are, you know, I just noticed my microphone is not really close to my face, so hopefully my sound has gotten a little bit better. I thought I did that before we went live. Sorry about that. So this is like, you know, coming into your art journal and doing a little bit of a messy technique. I can activate this with some water, and I can activate some of it and not all of it, right? Just kind of dance my brush over it, or activate all that's here and use. I love that color. Made a huge mess right there. Clean off my brush here. My paint water is dirty. Yikes. Just kind of come in and do a little bit of messy stuff right here. You're right, Tressa. I love doing the mashups with the stamp images, especially like using the black inks, really does a nice job of grounding. You're right. So see how you can kind of play around with this and just kind of have some messy fun. You can draw with it, and you can also kind of come back in and like paint with it, like traditionally paint with it. Oh, good, Susanna. My sound was good. Okay, that's good. I just really like some of the greens in there too. So see how I can kind of use this as a medium and just kind of paint some things, and I can just kind of play with it. I really like that texture, and when it dries, you can kind of go back in and futz around with it a little bit more. Like, but I like that you can do a little bit of both. And there's also a lot of opportunity for color mixing with the colors here. So I'm gonna do a little bit of color mixing like right here so you can see. Take a little bit of this magenta. I know this green is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite greens. I think it's called Ionian green. So we've got a little bit of a cadmium yellow and a little bit of a magenta here. And I'm going to just kind of start to blend these two colors together right on the paper. Look at that color. Oh my goodness. So I really feel like Inktense is really nice to do some color mixing with. And if I just add a little bit more water to this, you can really kind of bring down that value of the color. I love that. And you could go back in and add more even to the, it's wet, but you can add more to it. So you can work this medium into wet, and you can work it on dry. Look at that. I love that. I love that color. Eek! I love that color. So I think that there's just a lot of fun things that you can do with the Inktense blocks. And that's the whole purpose of today and introducing them to you, is that there's just a lot of fun things that you can do with them. If you have them in your stash and it just felt a little bit intimidating because we got these blocks, just know that there's lots of different things that you could potentially do with them, from traditional painting to drawing with them to using them with your stamped images, which is what we're going to do. So let's dive in. Okay, now before I do that, you can see I'm going to do a couple of these techniques, but you can see I kind of stamped this image and I wanted to do this kind of messy look to it. Did I lose the other one? Yeah. Susanna, great question. Just kind of this messy look and just kind of see what that looked like. And we're going to do a little bit of that. So Susanna, question, these colors must last a long time. Oh my goodness. So this set is going to last my lifetime. Think about it. Look at that. That's a lot of color, right? So you've seen me use like the Daniel Smith watercolor sticks, which I love. Very similar in that they're going to last a really, really long time. So one of the ideas I thought of before we went live is like, what if you and a friend like bought them together and then you just chopped them in half, right? And you shared it. You would literally still have a ton of color for both of you, probably for the rest of your life, right? You can also use them on canvases. Like I said, lots of different surfaces. I thought they would be fun. And I think we're going to do this around the holiday. And I've showed these before, these ceramic ornaments. They're super fun on here. And I've done a couple holiday related Inktense things before. And afterwards, I'll go back and I'll link up some of my other Inktense videos down below in the description. Okay. I feel like I've nerded out quite a bit. Let's dive in. Let's dive in and get started on our card. Now, the stamp set that I am using today is Life is the Song. This is my newest stamp set with Gina K. I'm going to use these two, and I'm going to do some layering with the French script and the, hello, Kathy, and the floral spray. And I am going to use the French script first. And what I'm going to do is, did I bring it over? Did I bring it over? I didn't. Let's pop off for a second and get my, I need to get my bottle of water. I'm just going to mist this stamp real quick. Then I'm going to take this yellow and I'm just going to run it over it. And then I'm going to do a little bit of pattern stamping. So I'm going to stamp once, stamp again, and then stamp again. And all I'm doing is getting that Inktense in that French script as a background. Now remember, the techniques that we're doing today, you can easily modify. If you like the look of this, we are using Inktense, but you can easily modify the techniques that I'm doing today and do it with your stamping inks. You can easily modify. You might just get a little bit of a different, the design, you'll have the same design, but you might get a little bit of a different kind of outcome. But you can most certainly do the watercolor techniques with your stamping inks. Okay, now I've got some obsidian here, and the reason why I'm using obsidian is because it's permanent, and it's the obsidian amalgamate from Gina K. When I stamp with it, I can easily use any kind of water-based medium, watercolor, anything with it, and it won't bleed. It will not bleed. You can use your alcohol markers, all of those things. Now, I'm going to do a spray here and a spray here. And I've got that line right here, and I'm just going to go off the edge with that line. See how this works out. We're going rogue. No misty. Now, see how that yellow is popping through there? Love it. All right, let's clean up my mess here. And then I'm going to do this again. Yes. Cheryl just said, I love how all of the elements in this set, but that round script. Yes. And that little French script is something you can use with anything in your stash. I'm going to come around here. I think I'm going to, I'm just going to try to go around there a little bit. Okay. Digging that. Loving the way that looks. Okay. Should I clean my stamp? Maybe. Let's go ahead and clean it up just a smidgy. Okay. Now we're going to come in and we're going to start to do some of the, like a little bit of color blocking. Here's our inspiration for the project. And see how, and I used Inktense with this. So I did a lot, a little bit of color blocking with some washy, and then we dry it, and then we're going to come back in and add a little more detail. So before I get started, I've got this Copic marker. I am going to go in and just blacken out the center of my flower. Now there is a coordinating stencil with this set that has all of these elements that you can color in. I'm going to put a little dot in the middle of that one, in the middle of that one. That is also grounding, really grounding this. But remember, look at how there's so many different things you can do with this stamp set. You can go from really clean graphic lines using the stencil to really fun and loosey-goosey, washy, vibrant watercolor. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about trying all of these different kinds of mediums. Zante, be safe. Driving and watching. Be safe. Be safe. Okay. I've got my two ways I can do this. I'm going to come in and just spritz the whole paper. Notice how the yellow underneath is not moving. If I was using some traditional watercolors, that yellow would be moving. If I was even using Wild Dandelion, my favorite yellow in the Gina K line, that yellow would be moving. It's not moving. It's not moving right now. I'm going to come in with a little bit of this. I'm just going to run my brush right over the block. A long stoplight. Oh, I hear you, friend. And I'm going to come over. Look at that level of intensity. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that magenta on those two flowers and let them do their thing. Then I'm going to come in with this green. This tutorial is just going to be super simple and messy. And look how I'm just dropping the color in. Just kind of blocking it in. It looks very messy, feels very out of control. I love this green. But that's okay, don't worry. This looks really scary, right? Very messy. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of water. Just kind of let it do its thing a little bit. And I'm going to come in and just kind of take off a little bit of it. But not too much. Now look at the granulation that's happening. That's an Inktense thing with the blocks. You get that granulation, but also notice the yellow underneath. See how the yellow isn't moving? It's not moving at all. You could also do this with your brush. Love super simple and messy. That's a great way to describe this. Like, it's a project that looks like we've had multi-stepped process to it, but we haven't, right? I'm going to add a little bit more back in because I took quite a bit out. We just haven't. We're just utilizing the properties of the medium to kind of create the effects. I don't like that right there. Let's get that out of there. Create the effects that I'm trying to create. Now, this definitely looks like super messy, but I'm digging it. I'm digging it because it's a really big splash of color, and it does still feel a little bit scary, but We're going to dry it back a little bit. Inktense is very much like watercolor in that it is that first hit is pretty vibrant. I'm going to come in. I'm going to add a little bit more. That first hit is really vibrant, but it does dry back. It does dry back. But I want you to notice what's happening. Like as I'm doing all of this color over top of that yellow is not moving. So we're getting that yellow kind of popping through. Love that. Yes. Okay. Super messy. Feels a little unruly, right? I promise you. It's going to be fun. Let's go in and dry. Now, this is a little less messy than this because I did that French script. You can always pull away. But let's go ahead and dry it so that you can really, really see that color kind of go back a little bit. Ooh, my paper's buckling. Now remember, this may not be for you. You may not like these messy techniques, and that's okay. This month, we've done so many different, we've talked about Inktense, but we've done many different techniques with it. The pencils give you more control. The blocks, you have a little bit more leeway to do kind of some funky artistic techniques. So it makes it kind of different and fun. And that's just how we're rounding out the month. Now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to drop in a little bit more color around here. Do a little bit of glazing. This is wet into dry. Paper is dry. Brush is wet. UPS man is dropping off a package. I don't know what it is, but I guess we'll find out. Right? Just drop in a little bit more color. And I'm going to come over here and grab some of this green. And see, I've got a little brush here. I'm going to grab some of this green. Could you do this with Gina K inks, TJ? Yes, you absolutely can do these techniques with Gina K inks. You're going to get a little bit of a different effects. But you can do, like I said, you could do this with any of the inks that you have. You can even do this technique with watercolor. Right now I'm just adding a little bit more of the Inktense in some of the petals, some of the Lachri, and just seeing how that goes. Just kind of adding, just to add a little bit more detail. I like that the black is grounding. I love that this, I think it's Ionian green, is just kind of giving me a lot of texture as it's dried. I'm kind of digging this. A little bit of a sploogey mess in some of the spots. I kind of like this middle. We're going to put our sentiment in that middle, so it's going to be pretty easy going, but I'm going to dry this again. But I'm going to add a little bit of my pink right over here, just a little bit of pink. Dry this again, and then I'm going to do, or maybe not. Let's just add a little bit of water down here. And see how this is not moving? Like I'm not really able to move that. But I've got this little grate. So this is made by Derwent. And they call it the sprinkler. It says sprinkler right there on the side, which is interesting. I'm going to come in and add a little bit of white, like this granulating white in some of the, and some pink in some of the wet areas. So if you've ever used a watercolor, I think it's called Brusho. I could be totally wrong, but it's basically like a powder watercolor. It's very similar. You can use your Inktense um, blocks to kind of do that kind of similar texture. And I kind of like that. A little bit of granulation. It's very easy to kind of let this all get away from you too. So I'm trying to be conscious of that because I'll keep going and I'll keep going and I'll keep blending and making a big mess. So let me go ahead and dry this. And then I'm going to do a little bit of splatter. This is a little messier than I'd like it to be, but it's fun. We're going to go with it for now. Because go ahead and dry. I don't know. Part of me wants to turn it this way. Let that be the top and let this be the bottom. Part of me doesn't mind that it's like that, but then I have kind of like another idea I'd like to do. Watercolor grading, yeah. It is. It's like a grate. You could use like a cheese grater or something like that, but that's the whole point of like these blocks. You can kind of come in and grate some of that stuff over it. Sort of like they call it the sprinkler. The sprinkler. Let's just add a little bit of water. And then I'm going to dry it again. This one is definitely a little messier than I'd like it to be. But I'm kind of feeling like, kind of digging it. And I kind of really wanted to show you. I just realized I didn't bring any glue over here to actually glue my card together. I was so focused on the techniques that I didn't actually bring any glue. All right, I feel like I've not done a great job. I like the way this looks and some of the messiness and some of the grounding of the Lachri, but the actual blooms are bothering me. So this is how we're going to recover from that. We are going to stamp some blooms. And then I'm going to show you another technique for painting with your Inktense, but very, very lightly and a much lighter value. Then we're going to cut them and pop them on there. So we're going to get a little, I'm going to need to get some glue. So let's get some glue. Can't believe I forgot the glue. Can but can't believe that I forgot the glue, friends. And let's see if I have a little bit of a pop. There we go. The scissors would be helpful. Just kind of rolled into today's live without all of my supplies. Good going, Lisa. And let's watch. Let's see if my glue. Normally, before you go live, you've got to like make sure your glue is going to glue. And if it doesn't, we'll just open it up and use it, because it gets clogged sometimes. So I'm going to stamp out. In the stamp set, I have that flower that goes right here separate. And you're right, TJ, it's a little bit grungy. It is a little bit grungy. Some people don't like that. I kind of like it every once in a while. You know me, I'm pretty watercolory. So, hi Gail. We have some other people popping in. Oh, good. Kathy Roseball, you said you're learning so much today. Hi, Kathleen. We had all these folks popping in. It's so exciting. Okay. Got our obsidian. Got our grungy panel here, which I kind of digging. My little mixed media panel. It's still like super, super vibrant. And when we put it on that pink, look at that. That's going to look wild. Or not. We'll see. Let's go ahead and paint. We're going to paint. So first of all, I'm going to take my little Copic marker, and I'm going to fill in my centers. Yes, Gail, these are the Inktense blocks. We're rounding out the end of the month. The entire month of March has been a big chat. I've been integrating Inktense, the blocks, the pans, and all the things, and we've been talking about them all month long on the channel. And today we're finishing out the month by talking about the blocks, the sticks. Okay. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of watercoloring here, some traditional watercoloring with our Inktense blocks. And I'm going to do wet into dry. Paper's wet, paper's dry, brush is wet. I'm going to lift up the Inktense. And then I'm just going to paint a little bit around the center of the flower. I'm actually going to paint that like level of intensity right there is pretty intense. Clean off my brush. Make sure it's completely dry. I'm using a number 6 round. You could even go smaller. The brush is wet, and then I'm just going to feather out some of that color. You want your brush to be wet, but not super wet. Let's pop in a little bit closer, if that's helpful. Not super wet. And I'm just going to drag and feather out the color that's there to the very edge. And you could, this is very similar to what you would do with watercolor. So we are treating this block like a watercolor medium. It is a water-based medium. That's what we're doing. Kathleen said you're learning so much. I'm so glad. Look at that texture. You can see it's this magenta. I'm going to add a little bit more to the center. Brush is wet. Paper's dry. Paper's a little bit wet because I've been adding some color. I'm going to switch brushes to something a little bit smaller. This is a number 2. And I'm just going to switch brushes a little bit. Just add a little bit to the center so that level of intensity is concentrated in the center, and then just drag it out. And I'm not so worried about realism here. I'm just kind of having some fun with applying color. In a very kind of controlled way. All right, I'm digging it. Let's move on to the next one. I do have some links down below in the description for all of the Inktense. I think I have them in the supplies, and I wrote all of the Inktense. So I kind of broke it down by blocks, pan, and pencil, so you guys could take a peek at it. I think I put down 2 places, Dick Blick, Art Supply, and Amazon, so you had some choices. Okay, see, brush was wet, paper was dry, really intense concentration of that color. Now I'm just coming in with my brush just around that edge and using the color that's there and kind of blending it out, feathering it out. Friends, I have done, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to do a little quick chat, and I keep looking out the window. I have a window to the left of me. I love it. And it goes out to the very side of our property, and it's also the air conditioners out there. And what I did is I put a little bird, like a bird bath feeder kind of out there on top of the air conditioner, so that I'm attracting all kinds of birds to the side of my window during the day. And this week, I live in Maryland. I'm just adding a little bit more color to our petals, just to add a little bit more intensity. Kind of loving that. You can see how intense this is. This week, I have attracted a tufted titmouse to the side window, and it's just, I've never had one in my yard, so it's been kind of cool, and I've been kind of excited, and a little bit of nerd birding. Hey, Gail said, so this could be done in a similar way with the pencils. Exactly. It can totally be done in a similar way with the pencils. The only difference, and in case you missed the beginning, that I have shared with the blocks is that A, you can pick up the blocks and you can use them as a pencil. B, the blocks tend to have a little bit more granulation happening with them. So the pigment that is in the block kind of suspends in the water and we get a little bit more texture. So there's the pan. This would be very similar to the pencil as well. So you get a little bit more texture going on. And you have a little bit more opportunity to do texture-based techniques. Okay, loving that vibrancy. Now let's just go ahead and cut these out and see how we feel about my card base. Because I could die cut these out. There is a coordinating die, but because this was kind of a last minute decision, I'm just going to fussy cut these out. And then, so this bird nerding thing, I love birds, so I have a lot of feeders in my garden and in my property just to try to keep, just to see what we can attract. Excuse me. This week, Tuesday of this week, if you're a member of the Craft Your Joy Lab and it's free, membership is free. The link is down below in the description. I painted a bluebird. Actually, do I have the bluebird? I have it sitting here on my desk. We did watercolor pencils. I did a tutorial in that community. So it's not on YouTube. It's just for members of the community. We did this and this bluebird, and it was inspired by the bluebirds in my yard. Yes, TJ, this is fuchsia. I think they call it fuchsia or magenta, but this is fuchsia. It's a very, very pretty pink. You can add a little bit of the white to it and create more of a pastel. I think it's a great color. Blends very, very well with other colors in the Inktense blocks. So I would say, Gail, kind of swing back to your question. Can we do this with the pencils? Yes, you can absolutely do it with the pencils. The blocks, I feel like, are kind of like a convenience thing, right? Like if you have them and you want, or if you want to do a little bit more mixed media techniques and things like that, I think they come in handy. And if you like that granulation and that extra texture, it might be something for you. You can also get, like this is a set of 72, you can get it in a set of 12. And in that set of 12, if you want to experiment, you can do a lot of color mixing with the colors that are there. Okay. Kathleen says, I love birds too. We have a cardinal that comes. Oh, I have so many cardinals in the backyard. Robins, bluebirds though. Bluebirds have been like a recent thing that I've been attracting, and I just love that. That little schmutz right there is probably going to bother me, but we'll see. But anyway, the squirrel, there is a squirrels everywhere, and the squirrel tries to get into my bird feeders, and funny enough, the cardinals go after the squirrels, which is kind of fun. I'm like, my squirrel friends, I have their own little thing down on the ground, but you know, squirrels can be greedy. They want that, and they want all the stuff in the bird feeder too. Okay, I'm gonna have to open up my my glue because the tip of it is kind of janky right now. So I'm just going to use my finger and go old school with the glue. I'm using my Gina K Connect glue, and the reason why I like it is because it works really, really nicely with our watercolor paper, especially the cotton watercolor paper. Okay, let's just go ahead and clean off. So today, the theme for today's tutorial is messy art, messy watercolor, messy card making. If messy's not for you, no worries. Sometimes I like to do messy things. This one is extra messy today. This one is extra messy. Hi, Karen. We are doing messy mashup today of Inktense watercolors And Gina K inks, my Gina K stamps. I need a little bit more glue. Let's put a little bit more glue right down here. I got all kinds of glue issues happening today. Let's just go ahead and put that block down there for a minute. So, all right, we've got these. And I also have a little bit of, let's just put that down. I have a little bit of pop. We're going to cover this up. So see, I really feel like I don't like the way these two flowers look. So that's why we redid the flowers. You can see over here, I was a little more washy. This one, we were a little more intense. So we're going to pop these up like right over top. And that's going to help kind of tone down the mess a little bit, right? Hello, Rhonda, from your sweet mother-in-law's patio in Florida. That's very nice. All right, let's go ahead. Tammy says, I love it messy. I think that there's a place for doing some messy card making every once in a while, right? And again, it's all about experimenting. And since we were closing out the month, experimenting and talking more about Inktense, I think it's appropriate. So, how many friends do we have with us today? 31. Wow. Hello. So, let me know in the chat if, oh boy. Let me know in the chat. I'm not loving like what I got going on in here, but I'm going to let it ride. And let it be what it is. I have some friends that would love to get this card, and they would think it would be super fun. Now let's bring a sentiment in. We've got, I'm going to do the Life is a Song, Love is the Music. I'm just going to pop that in the center. I like messy at times too. I like this washy watercolor look and effect. Kind of digging that. Let's just go in. Let's see what I think that that's going to look like right there in that middle. Friends, we're going to get to the very end here. And I know I've talked about this before as my voice gets somber, right? We're going to get to the very end. We're going to put the sentiment on. We've done the whole entire card. And we hope, this is the moment of hope, that the sentiment goes on well. Right? That was like pause for the drama, right? TJ, I hear you. Don't, like, again, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the Inktense. If that's something you're interested in getting the blocks, keep an eye on them. They go on sale quite a bit. Yeah. So just keep an eye on it. And again, if Inktense pencils or the Inktense other things that they have you really like, stick with those. You know, and work your way up to thinking that this might be something you want to use. All right, let's go. We're going in, friends. We're going in. We'll see what happens. Because nothing's kind of worked out the way I wanted it today. But that's okay. Life is the song, love is the music. The sentiment came out. I'm kind of digging it. I'm kind of digging the card. I think I'm being a little bit too hard on myself. I'm kind of digging it. It's messy. It's got a little bit of flow to it. It really doesn't look, it really looks pretty cool. And I've got, what you can't see is that when we did that, well, you can see it. You can see the white little splatters. I have to hold it down here. You can see those white little splatters, which are kind of fun. Okay, I'm digging it. I think it's acceptable. Right? Here was our inspiration. Let's just kind of double back to our inspiration. Here was our inspiration, sort of washy, but sort of on the clean side of things. This is our like super, super messy. I definitely watered things down a significant amount in this one versus this one. But remember, the cool thing about using your art supplies with your stamps is and your inks is that you can get varied techniques. Remember, we can always use our stamps. I've used this stamp set to get really beautiful, clean, graphic looks with our inks. And then we can experiment, like all of these, like we did, this was the last tutorial we did. We can start to experiment with our art supplies and get more pops of color and vibrancy and kind of have a little bit more artsy fartsy fun, right? Okay. Holy smokes. All right. So we have closed out the entire month of March talking about Inktense. So next month, of course, we'll have a brand new Gina K release. That's coming. Uh-oh. I've lost the date. It just popped out of my head. Brain fog. It's not next week. It's the week after. Gloria, I'm just reading some of your comments, friends. Gloria said, if you find your eye looking all around the card you've created. Yeah, I see what you mean. You've created a rut. Yep. They both have personality. I agree. Hi, Lynn. No worries. Late to the party. Oh, thank you, Tammy. Happy results. I think happy, like, let's see, like a happy result. Kind of a funky result. I'm going with funky result. And an artful result. Yes, Gloria, like created an artful result. Okay. I digress. And we did make this tutorial in an hour. So take a look at all the tutorials. I will, after the live, I'll go back into the description and I will list out all of the Inktense tutorials that are on my channel so you can use them for reference. We've done 4 this month where I've kind of deep dived into the pencils, the blocks, the pan sets. So I think we've covered it for this month, friends. I think we've covered it. Everybody is sharing, learned so much about the products. So if you have them in your stash, now you know to get them out and play with them and have some fun with them. And also, if you're thinking about adding them to your stash, you now have more information at your fingertips to make that decision, right? Okay. Next month, we have a brand new stamp set coming out, and I'm really excited about this one, too. I'm really, really, really excited. Okay, Kathleen just shared she wanted to do the bluebird. Oh, I hate that, the color. I have to show, it's too much. She wants to do the bluebird. Okay, the bluebird in the craftyourjoylab.com, and you can see that down below in the description. It's my free community, and I created it because I wanted this cozy corner for us to come into, for me to share tutorials with you, for me to go deeper than what I share in social media, because I'm never sure if you see my posts in social media. So I don't want to keep putting stuff out there that people don't see. So I created my own platform on the Mighty Networks called Craft Your Joy Lab, where you can become a free member. And every month I do a technique specific tutorial, and it's a long one. Like yesterday's was like an hour. So it's like a class for free. And there's lots of other things in there too. So go ahead and take a look at it. And I go deeper in that Craft Your Joy Lab into things. We go deeper because if that's something that interests you, I know that you want that kind of content. You can go there to get it, right? And it's free. It's free to you right now. Eventually, I'm going to be moving towards some paid things, but not right now. Right now, we're just building community in there of like-minded watercolor friends in our cozy little corner. Okay. All right, friends. Whew. I am sending you into the weekend to craft your joy. I hope this tutorial was enlightening and fun and messy and kind of gives you a little bit of space to think about experimenting with what you have in your stash and mashing up your stamps and your art supplies to create a little bit more of an artful look. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me. It is never lost on me that you are taking the time to be here with me today. and out of your schedule, and I'm incredibly grateful. Okay, friends, I will see you next week. I will be going live on Thursday. Ugh, I'll have to answer that call in a moment. I will be going live on Thursday, and I will have that announcement in social media, in the Gina K group, and also on my channel. I mean, in my email. So I would encourage you to join if you'd like. Okay, friends, I'll see you next week.